My mother-in-law, Martha, was the one who arranged for me to get a job at my husband Tom's company. I ended up earning a really good salary there, and I spent a lot of my time gossiping about my husband and the woman he liked with everyone else in the company. On the day our divorce was finalized, I was feeling happy and smiling, while my ex-husband, Tom, stood in front of me with red eyes, looking like he was about to cry. "Darling," he said, "let's get back together." I just looked at him and said, "Sorry, but I don't have a habit of picking up garbage that's been thrown away." For 3 years that we were married, Tom never once spent the night at our home. Martha, his mother, was getting desperate about the situation. She secretly made arrangements for me to join his company, and she made sure I got a huge monthly salary, 500,000. Martha told me I could trust her to fix things. But on my very first day working at the company, I knew right away that I didn't have any chance of making the marriage work. Tom's new assistant, who had only been working there for less than a month, turned out to be Chloe. She was the woman Tom was in love with, the one who had left the country to study on the very day Tom and I got married. One night, Tom had just told me that he only loved her, and then he disappeared for the whole night. After that, I decided to just give up on the marriage. I quietly stayed in my job, which was just a simple sales position that no one paid much attention to, but being quiet isn't really who I am. In less than half a day in the sales department, I had already gotten to know everyone and was joining in their gossip sessions whenever I could. We talked about everything, from small things happening at the front desk to the really juicy stories about Tom and the woman he liked, Chloe. That woman had only come back to the country less than 2 months before, and she had already moved into Tom's big house. She went to and from work with him every single day and seemed to have special privileges at the company. My colleagues and I even started a betting pool about when Tom would finally divorce me. I put in $100 betting that he would divorce his wife, which was me, within 2 months at the latest. I felt really pleased watching my colleagues put their money into the pot. Feeling quite happy with myself, I ended up running into Chloe. She was holding her coffee and she trembled slightly when she saw me. Then she looked at me with an awkward smile. Chloe didn't say anything, so I decided to speak first. "Let's make a deal," I said. "$500 and I won't tell Tom's family about the things you've been doing at the company. If you agree, transfer the money." She looked shocked, but she quickly added me as a friend on her phone and transferred the $500. Then I said, "$5 and you can't tell Tom about the things I've been doing at the company, deal or no deal." Chloe looked at me like I was completely crazy. Just like that, with only a few words, I had made a deal that would give me a profit of $495. Should I tell her about my bet? I decided to take her silence as her agreeing and transferred her the $5. I had a feeling that the two of us could work together for a long time. "How about this?" I said. "Pay me, and I'll be your helper, your informant, for $1,000. Any news about Tom? I'll let you know, and I'll charge you an extra $200 for each message." Coming home from work that day, I didn't expect Tom to be there. He was sitting on the couch, reading the newspaper. From the moment I took off my shoes to the moment I walked into the house, he didn't even look up. Martha was not happy about this at all, and she frowned, ready to say something to him. I quickly gave Martha a signal to stop. I was worried that Martha might somehow mess up my non-existent relationship with Tom and then use that as a reason to pay me less money after we got divorced. Martha took a deep breath, turned her head away proudly, and went into the kitchen. It was only then that Tom finally looked up at me. He looked like he wanted to say something, but wasn't sure how. I gave him a look that was meant to encourage him. "Honey," I said, "do you have something you want to say to me?" Tom pressed his lips together and, surprisingly, shook his head. "No," he said. "You wanted a divorce, right? What's there to say? Are you afraid I won't agree? Are you thinking too highly of yourself?" While I was thinking all these angry thoughts, I couldn't help but wipe a tear from the corner of my eye. Martha then came out of the kitchen holding a spatula. "Tom," she said, "are you bothering Emily again?" Tom frowned at me, clearly annoyed, and then he left without saying anything else. At the dinner table, Martha first scolded Tom before turning to comfort me. "Emily," she said, "don't worry, I understand him. He's been confused for too many years, but now he needs to realize what's important. I thought to myself, let him stay confused. If he actually starts to like me because of my charm, that's going to cause problems. I told Martha, Mom, you can relax. I'll take care of making him like me. Really, I thought that making him like me was for his own good. It would help Chloe take his place sooner and help me get out of this messy situation. On my way to my room, I made sure to send a text message to Chloe. Tom stormed off because of me, I wrote. Expect him to come to you. Behave yourself. Chloe quickly transferred $200 to me. Martha then told me about a plan she had. Tomorrow night, she said, Tom has a gathering. I'll have one of his colleagues get him drunk, and then I'll tell you so you can take him to a hotel while he's drunk, and then… I was lucky to have a good relationship with Martha. If she had tried some new trick on me, I might have woken up in Tom's bed the next morning. Wouldn't that have been terrible? She would have probably blamed me for it. I knew I would definitely leave a lasting impression on my husband if that happened. Martha seemed touched by something and handed me a small USB drive, saying it had 10 gigabytes of important information. I turned around and immediately went to sell it. A gift from Tom's mother, I texted Chloe. $5,000, do you want it? Chloe transferred the money right away. Tomorrow morning, I wrote back. I'll leave it at the front desk, wrapped in a red gift box. Martha was a determined and powerful woman in Tom's family. She had warned someone to get Tom drunk, and who would dare not listen to her? That night, several managers from different departments took turns, and they successfully got Tom very drunk. It was my turn to step in. With the help of one of the managers, I took Tom to the fancy presidential suite that Martha had arranged. Since it was supposed to be our first time together, the suite was clearly decorated very carefully with all sorts of expensive things. I didn't hold back when it came to my husband. I immediately took a picture of Tom lying on the bed and sent it to Chloe. It's $10,000, I wrote. No less. Chloe transferred the money quickly, as always. Just as I received the payment, Tom suddenly sat up straight. His eyes were red as he looked at me, tilting his head. Emily? He said. I nodded and pushed him back onto the bed. He raised his hands as if to push me away, and I quickly told him that I wasn't interested in him and that Chloe would take care of him later. He immediately stopped moving. As I turned to leave, Tom suddenly jumped out of bed and grabbed my wrist. Emily, he said, don't go. I want to have a baby with you. Tom seemed to have gone completely crazy, trying to pull me onto the bed. Luckily, I knew a bit of self-defense and managed to get him under control right there. He made a face like he was in pain and soon started to fall asleep. I slapped his face hard twice. Soon after, Chloe arrived. Chloe looked shocked when she saw my messy hair. I comforted her. Don't worry, I said. I won't touch what I've already sold. She immediately looked at me with admiration, and I just waved my hand. It's more practical to transfer the money, I said, and I earned another $5,000 while trying not to cry from the pain of his grip. I closed the door and looked at the amount of money in my bank account, feeling a bit emotional. But the truly emotional part was still to come. Tom, 3 years of marriage, 3 years of wanting Chloe. Our marriage was also about to end. I took the key to the room I had already booked, checked into the room right across the hall, took a nice bath, and went to sleep. The next day, my alarm clock rang at 7 in the morning, and I called Tom on my phone. He answered quickly, but didn't say anything. I asked him where he was. In the apartment in the eastern suburbs, he said. I asked Tom why his voice sounded so rough. Are you sick with a cold? I asked. Probably, he said. All right, I said. Take some medicine for your cold then. I hung up the phone and sat by the bed for 5 minutes before sending a message to the journalist I had contacted earlier. Tom, I wrote, since you dared to trick me, I'll make you pay right away. Get ready to act. People who take money for a job never disappoint. 10 minutes later, I looked through the peephole and saw several journalists sneaking around Tom's room. One of them pretended to be a waiter and knocked on the door. Shortly after, Tom and Chloe appeared at the door, both wearing hotel bathrobes. The journalists started taking pictures like crazy, and Chloe was so scared that she immediately hid herself in Tom's arms. Tom immediately yelled at the journalists and closed the door. I paid the reporters the rest of their money, grabbed my bag, and hummed a happy tune on my way to Tom's company. Just as I sat down at my desk, I heard people gossiping about Tom and Chloe. It sounded very interesting. I immediately said I wanted to join the bet. I want to bet on it, I said. $200 says Tom and his wife will get divorced before the end of this month. An hour later, Chloe sent me a private message asking for advice. Martha wanted to see her. Before I could even tell her how much I would charge for advice, she proactively transferred $10,000 to me. Feeling happy, I took the money and sincerely gave her some advice on how to succeed. Stay true to yourself, I told her. Don't forget why you started. But what I didn't expect was coming home from work that evening. Everything was perfectly normal at home. Martha and Tom were both there, acting like nothing had happened. Tom even changed his usual cold behavior and handed me my slippers. At the dinner table, Martha even talked about giving me a promotion. Emily, she said, since you've started working at the company, don't stay in sales. Tomorrow, go directly to work as Tom's assistant. Working together as a couple will be so good for you. All I wanted was to end this marriage. Even though I agreed on the outside, I quickly messaged Chloe. What in the world is going on? I asked. Chloe replied, Martha is giving too much. But I thought that you can never have too much, and no one would turn down more money. Otherwise, Chloe wouldn't have joined Tom's company in the first place. I planned to not respond to her for a while. I did what Martha told me and became Tom's assistant. On the day I left the sales department, everyone looked at me in shock. They never expected that I would turn out to be Tom's wife. Don't pay attention to them, I said. I'm just his wife in name right now, without any real position. But I won't be for long. Remember our bet. As I turned around, I bumped into Tom. What bet? He asked. I immediately signaled to my colleagues. They eagerly answered, the bet about when you and Emily will get divorced. Tom looked down at me. His eyes were a bit red, his voice was rough, and he had a look about him that made me want to punch him. Not getting divorced, he said. Emily, we will never get divorced. Tom reached out to hold my hand, but without even thinking, I moved away from him. His hand stopped in the air, and after a moment, he awkwardly pulled it back. Let's go, Emily, he said. On my third day as Tom's assistant, I felt like I wasn't there to help him at all. Tom never told me what to do. He even gave me the most comfortable seat in the office. Because I liked to sleep, he even bought a big bed and put up a curtain for me so I could lie down whenever I wanted. I started to feel restless. If things kept going like this, I would just become a useless person that Tom kept around. So I decided to start acting like we were a loving couple. I posted updates on social media all day long. Tom is looking so handsome today, I wrote. He bought me a big gold bracelet. Tom gave me $5 million to spend. Finally, Chloe took the bait. On the 7th day, she showed up in Tom's office wearing a white dress, looking pale and weak. I was lying on the couch, and I quickly sat up when I saw Chloe. Tom also stood up and walked towards Chloe. He looked like he wanted to hug her, but he hesitated because I was there, stopping 2 steps away from Chloe. What are you doing here? He asked her. Chloe immediately started to cry. Tom, she said, I miss you. Tom bit his lip, looking like he was trying very hard to control himself. I suggested, should I leave to give you some privacy? Emily, Tom said, don't talk nonsense. There's nothing going on between me and Chloe. I nodded seriously. I believe you, I said. You really don't have anything with Chloe. But seeing how pale she was and how weakly she walked, clearly suffering emotionally and mentally recently, I said, I think you should personally take her to the hospital. It's the right thing to do, both morally and logically. Tom was a bit surprised. You're not angry? He asked. My husband enjoys helping others and his friends, I said. Why would I be mad? Thank you. Without saying another word, Tom grabbed Chloe and left. That night when Tom came home, Martha slapped him hard after finding pictures of him and Chloe gossiped about on his phone. Tom, she said, apologize to Emily. Tom questioned, isn't it normal to protect Chloe? I thought that making him apologize now might just make him more stubborn. Don't you think? I asked Martha, watching Tom hopefully, feeling like he was about to say he wanted a divorce any second. But he disappointed me. He looked at me and said, sincerely, "I'm sorry." To make things worse, Tom even tried to get close to me. When I was getting ready for bed later, I found him lying there. "Chloe," I texted, "Tom is in my bed. I'll give you $5 to get him out." Luckily, Chloe was fast. She called Tom in less than 3 minutes. Tom hesitated for about 10 seconds before answering the call. Shortly after, he grabbed a jacket and said to me seriously, "Sorry, Emily, Chloe fell down the stairs. I have to go check on her." As he reached the door, he paused. "Emily," he said, "I promise this is the last time." I guess Tom was starting to see that I had some influence. Feeling worried that Tom might actually start to like me and not want a divorce, I came up with a plan. I found Chloe and offered her a deal. 100,000 US dollars to make sure I got a successful divorce from Tom. Chloe paid a deposit of 50,000 US dollars, promising the rest when the divorce was final. I told Chloe, "Tom has a very strong ego. Just make him realize that I was the one who sent you to the hotel when he was drunk and arranged for the reporters to be there. He'll definitely want to divorce me out of anger." But just as I started to put my plan into action, Chloe announced that she was pregnant. 48 days, she said. I breathed a sigh of relief and went for a manicure after work. In the living room that evening, Martha, Tom, and Chloe were all there. It seemed like my plan was working. I changed into my slippers quietly and got the outcome I wanted: a divorce. The divorce agreement was brand new. I got 3 houses that were in Tom's name, 30 million US dollars in cash, plus 200,000 US dollars in support money every month. I signed my name without hesitation. Martha looked at me, wiped a tear, and sighed. "Tom," she said, "you're an adult now. Don't regret your decisions." Tom didn't respond. He just looked at me and said, "We'll go register for the divorce tomorrow morning at 9. And with that, he walked out with Chloe. The next morning, Tom wasn't acting like himself. He looked like a ghost with red eyes. Hiding how I really felt, I comforted him until we finished registering the divorce. At that moment, I couldn't help but start laughing. Tom, with his red eyes, suddenly grabbed me. "Emily," he said, "let's get married again." I pushed his hand away, smiling brightly. "Sorry," I said, "I don't recycle trash." I showed off my divorce certificate in the sales department, earning an extra 2,000 US dollars from the bet. I invited everyone out for dinner to celebrate. That day, I had a moving company pack up my things from Tom's place and moved into the big house I had bought and prepared 6 months ago. I called my friend Brenda to share my good news. With connections from both my family and Tom's family, I had used up all my savings a year ago to start a foreign trade company. Brenda was the public face of the company while I worked behind the scenes. Now that I was no longer just Tom's wife, I had no reason to hide. Brenda was thrilled and offered to throw a party to celebrate me being single. I accepted, not realizing how fancy and over-the-top her style was. Arriving at the event the next day, I was shocked. Brenda had organized a huge banquet and invited everyone we knew from our social circle, including Tom. Tom was standing beside Chloe, who immediately moved away instinctively as I walked closer. "Oh," I teased as my wine glass lightly touched Tom's, delivering a silent jab. "This company is yours?" "Don't bother inviting me to your wedding, Tom," I said. "I don't want to have to bring a gift." As I moved back to a corner, the event turned into a place for gossip, with everyone watching me, Tom, and Chloe. Just as I was about to quietly slip away, a man walked in with a clear purpose. It was Robert, who was 6 years older than me and had some family connections through Martha's side. He called out to someone as Uncle. Leaning against the doorway, Robert looked at my face in a way that made me feel a little bit of danger. Robert suggested a business opportunity. Even though we had worked together before and it had gone well, I hesitated. I knew I wasn't his first choice for this kind of work, and Robert was known for being tough and not caring about others. In the end, I agreed. I didn't want to miss out on a chance to work with him. I made the contract with him in a room upstairs, and we even played a game together. During the game, I sat in a comfortable position, which caused wrinkles in my dress and messed up my hair that I had carefully styled. When I left the room, I unexpectedly found Tom standing there. His shocked look seemed to have a bit of sadness in it. Walking over, Robert added, "Emily, I just found out today how capable you are." Knowing that he had misunderstood the situation, I didn't bother to explain. If that's how it sounded, then fine. Tom, with his hands clenched into fists, demanded, "When did this happen?" I replied, "Just now. Does it matter?" "Remember your place, Tom." In that moment, I made it very clear that what I did was my own business, and I did it openly and honestly. Robert, supporting me, said, "Emily, feeling like taking a risk? How about another round?" I nodded, closing the hotel room door. That seemed like a good idea. Leaving the hotel, my dark circles under my eyes were showing. Wrapped in Robert's suit jacket, I couldn't help but shiver a little. Tom, like a ghost, appeared in front of me. "Emily," he said, "why are you treating me like this?" I reminded Tom, "Chloe has been pregnant for over a month." Tom's face turned pale. "That's unexpected," he said. I straightened his tie. "Tom," I said, "we are all adults. Don't mess around if you can't handle the consequences." Robert didn't let me down. I made a small profit in less than 3 months of working with him. To show my thanks, I planned to treat him to dinner, but he insisted on paying. Just after dinner, I ran into Tom again. He was drunk and looked at me like a hungry dog looking at a bone. He nodded and walked towards me. "Emily," he said. He reached out to hug me, but before I could react, Robert stepped forward, putting his strong chest in front of Tom. "Look closely," Robert said seriously. "I'm Robert." But as I looked at his slim waist and firm backside, I suddenly felt a little embarrassed. In the end, it was I who took Tom home. Afterwards, he even sent me a message to report that he had successfully delivered. I replied with an emoji. Then Brenda messaged me. "Emily," she wrote, "what's wrong with Tom?" Along with her message was a video she had forwarded. In the video, Tom, still wearing the clothes he had on tonight, overturned a table at the banquet. The table full of food was ruined, but he didn't seem to realize what he had done wrong. He was acting strange and angry. "Emily is my wife," he was saying. "Even if we divorce, she's still my wife." I thought, "Tom, where have you been all this time? There's a saying, late love is worth nothing." How unfortunate. I quickly took a shower and went to bed early. The next morning, as I opened the curtains and stepped onto the balcony, stretching lazily and yawning halfway, I froze. Robert, wearing a gray, comfortable outfit, was standing casually on the balcony of the house next to mine. "Good morning," he said. After breakfast, I finally saw the private message Tom had sent me. It was around 4 a.m, all voice messages. I randomly clicked on one, and it sounded like he was crying. "Emily," he said, "I was wrong. Can we get back together?" I didn't listen to the other voice messages and just blocked Tom. I thought for a moment, then found Chloe's contact. "What happened with Tom?" I asked. Chloe replied, "I had a miscarriage." No wonder he had such a big change in his attitude towards me. Did he really think I would have his child? I advised Chloe, "Don't let him get away with this. Make him pay you for everything you've lost." Chloe didn't respond, but after a while, she sent me a voice message. I answered the call, and it was Tom's voice, sounding rough. "Emily," he said, "you really did everything you could to divorce me for Robert, huh?" "Tom," I said, "do I need to involve someone else to divorce you? Do you have no sense of right and wrong?" "I have nothing with Chloe," he said. Tom kept sending me voice messages, all of which I didn't answer. After hanging up on about 10 of them in a row, he sent a message. "Emily," he wrote, "you will regret it." Sighing, I also blocked Chloe. I thought there might not be any more chances to earn extra money in the future. As I was getting ready to leave, Chloe called. Her voice sounded heavy. $2,000, she said. "I'll sell you a piece of information." In a strange turn of events, I ended up agreeing to the deal for $200. It was just one sentence. "Emily, be careful of Tom." "He knows about our deal," she said. Thinking of what Tom had just said, I understood. "So," I said, "he thinks it's all my fault?" "Yes," she replied. But doesn't he love you? Chloe remained silent and sent the $200 back to me. Because the child isn't his. Chloe said a few more things before mentioning that she couldn't stay here anymore and planned to find someone to take over her job abroad. I wished her the best, and then we deleted each other's contact information. Before deleting, Chloe said something nice about me. Emily, she said, Tom really doesn't deserve you. Tom had probably started to hate me by now. Soon enough, he started trying to make things difficult for me. In just 2 months, our company had lost several clients. Brenda was very worried and kept saying she wanted to go talk to Tom, but I told her not to. Not now, I said. Go buy a gun first. Brenda was shocked. It's not that serious, is it? She asked. I chuckled. Perhaps it's even worse than you imagine, I said. Brenda immediately looked serious and worried. Seeing that she was in a good state of mind now, I gave her a project for a collaboration that I had prepared a long time ago, telling her to do her very best and get the deal. After just half a month, Brenda came to me in tears. Emily, she said, I've been stopped. I know, I said. I didn't expect you to be able to do it, but unfortunately, this is a job only you can do. Brenda looked a bit confused. I explained, Tom has made a huge mistake in the market. He rushed to compete with me for business without checking the background of the person he was dealing with. This is Alex, who is deeply in debt behind the scenes. If Tom partners with him, he's just going to get himself into more trouble. Doesn't he like taking other people's business? I said. Well, here's a gift for him. Brenda hugged me tightly. At this moment, Robert called. Will you have dinner with me? He asked. I didn't say no. At the Western restaurant, as we clinked our glasses, I looked directly at Robert. I heard you've started working with the W group overseas, I said. Getting all those orders completely won't be easy, right? Robert nodded. I poked at the steak on my plate with my fork. Across from me, he smiled gently and said, But if you're interested? I immediately looked up at him and replied, Interested. Very interested. Even if there is only a little bit of profit, I'm interested. Robert shook his head. I can't stand to see you work so hard, he said. Based on how much you can supply right now, I'll give you 10% of the orders. How about that? I raised my glass. Robert didn't clink glasses with me. He leaned his head on his hand and looked at me, somehow looking a bit like he was flirting. My heart started beating faster. I rode home with Robert that evening. Before the car even entered the garage, I saw Tom standing at my doorstep. It had been a while since I had last seen him, and he looked much thinner. Seeing me getting out of Robert's car, Tom's eyes were fixed on me. Finally, he walked over to me and said, Emily, I want to talk to you. Robert rolled down the car window and gave me a look that seemed to mean something. I replied to Tom, just say what you want to say. After hesitating for a moment, Tom said, Emily, I've been thinking recently. I was wrong before. I made mistakes. But we were married for 3 years. There couldn't have been no feelings at all. If you marry me again, I'll return the orders I took from you. What do you think? I took a step back. No, Tom, I said. Don't try to make me look bad. Do you know how hard it has been for me to feel like a widow for so many years? We're divorced and you still want to insult me? I didn't mean that, Emily, he said. That's not what I meant. Tom pressed his lips together and glanced at Robert. Anyway, he said, you and Robert are even now. If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. Let's get married again. Before I could respond, Robert got out of the car. He wrapped his arm around my waist. I felt like Robert was taking advantage of the situation, so I couldn't help but pinch him on the waist. Suddenly, Tom looked very angry and threatening. Emily, he said, you and Robert won't end up together. I won't allow it. I got angry and yelled at Tom. Eventually, Tom became frustrated and left. Watching his back as he walked away, I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. As I turned my head back, I saw Robert rubbing his chin and looking at me. I blushed instantly. After some time, I found out that Tom had realized he couldn't find a wife by being too serious. So he decided to stop being serious from that day on. Are you ready, little Emily? Robert said. I thought Robert was joking, but he was serious. From then on, he greeted me every day on the balcony, even wearing pink clothes with hearts on them. Every morning before heading to work, he would be standing at my doorstep, holding a rose. In the afternoon after work, it was still him, but this time with a bouquet of flowers. Even though I didn't agree to Robert trying to win me over, rumors in our social circle started spreading that Robert and I were in a passionate romance. His efforts were too intense, and I faintly felt that I couldn't resist much longer. As for Tom, I would occasionally hear news about him. Because of the order he had taken from me recently, he had been very busy trying to make up for the losses, and it had even caused problems for the main company. He started firing employees very quickly, but the money saved from firing people was still not enough. In the end, Martha stepped in. She removed Tom from his position and sold a few properties to make the company stable again. Tom temporarily lost his job, and people in our social circle would sometimes post pictures of him looking unhappy. But I couldn't seem to feel calm about it. Every time I heard about Tom, I remembered what Chloe once told me. Emily, be careful with Tom. I decided to meet up with Tom. He seemed like he was about to explode now, and I thought it would be better if I took control of the situation instead of letting him. I took a deep breath and said firmly, "No," when he asked me something. Tom's face darkened. "So, Emily," he said, "you went out of your way to divorce me, set me up for a big failure, did all these things to me, and yet you had no intention of getting back together with me. If you didn't plan on that," he asked, "what are you doing here?" The strange, worried look in Tom's eyes made my heart skip a beat. I tried not to show that I was scared. "Tom," I said, "you are still my ex-husband. I don't want you to fall so low." "Fine then," Tom said and stood up. "Let's get back together." I also jumped up and tried to run towards the door, but Tom was faster. He grabbed my hair and pulled me back. I tried to get free, but he slapped me hard across the face. "Emily," he said, "you are such a bad woman." I cried as he hit me, but then he suddenly became gentle. "I'm sorry, Emily," he said. "It's all my fault. I realized too late that I love you. Can we start over?" Just then, my phone lit up with a call from Robert. I rushed over as if I was going crazy, but before I could answer the call, Tom grabbed me. He tied me up and threw me into the storage room next to the living room. "Emily," he said, "I'll make you realize that Robert doesn't love you that much either. Your choice is definitely wrong." Then Tom used my phone to call Robert. "Robert," he said, "come to my house." He handed me another phone. The screen showed what was happening in the living room from a camera. Soon enough, I saw Robert on the screen. He was wearing a suit and glasses, looking even more put together than usual. After entering the house, he sat down because Tom asked him to. "What about Emily?" Robert asked. "Not now," Tom said. Tom poured a glass of water for Robert and asked, "I'm curious, how did Tom end up with my wife?" "I mean," he corrected himself, "ex-wife." "All right," Tom said, "ex-wife. Why did you fall for my ex-wife?" Robert looked at Tom silently. I felt there was something dangerous hidden behind his slightly dark glasses. But when he spoke, his voice was clear and gentle, like a soft wind in March. "Why did I fall for Emily?" he said. "Probably because of you, Tom." It was the first time I had ever heard Robert speak so calmly. From the first time we met to now, talking like this. "The first time we met was at your wedding, Tom," Robert said. "You probably didn't notice, but Emily loved you. I felt sorry for her back then, thinking she loved the wrong person. Later," Robert continued, "your mom took her to meet more people. I saw her a few times, and I realized she wasn't a woman who needed me to feel sorry for her. She knew what she wanted. Back then, she wanted to be a good wife to you. So she learned everything your mom taught her very seriously and tried to stop being close to her own family." Tom trembled slightly as Robert spoke, as if he had just realized something unbelievable. "Impossible," Tom said. "She loved me. She wanted to be my wife?" I clenched my teeth without thinking, angry enough to want to tear Tom's mouth apart. But tears started streaming down my face without me being able to stop them. I had loved Tom in the past, so deeply and painfully. It was only when I divorced him that I could be so determined, so without mercy. I did love Tom once. Unfortunately, he didn't know, but Robert saw it all clearly. Robert looked sympathetic. Tom, he said, have you ever thought about something? Why does your mom like Emily so much? If she didn't love you, would your mom like her this much? Tom looked tense, lost in his thoughts. Robert continued. Later on, I noticed that the way she looked at you changed. It became calm, controlled, without love. It was during that time that she started her current company. She also stole my heart. Tom, Robert said, you will never know. You had something precious in your hands. If you had just held on a little tighter, but you missed it forever. Robert's voice was so convincing. Tom's face turned paler with every word. Tom, Robert said, I fell for Emily completely because of you. You loved someone else, left her alone to keep your marriage going, but I saw how determined and strong she was. You were angry with her for planning the divorce, but have you thought about what you were doing during those 2 years she gave you a chance? Robert asked. Tom, do you think you deserve Emily back? When you didn't want her, she was nothing. Now that you want her, sorry, you can no longer afford her. I thought Tom would go crazy, but in the end, he just sat on the floor, crying loudly. So, he said, she did love me. And then, the door of Tom's house was knocked open and the police and Martha rushed in together. Tom was held back. Robert's calm way of being finally broke down. He grabbed Tom's collar like a crazy person. What about her? He yelled. Tom glanced towards the storage room. Soon, Robert burst in. He untied me, removed the cloth from my mouth, and trembled as he held me in his arms. I secretly wiped away a tear. I never expected that my biggest secret, that I had loved Tom, would be so clearly seen by this older man. I thought I was just a temporary interest for him, but I didn't know that I had left a lasting mark on his heart. For a while, I teased Robert, saying, You were so calm just now, weren't you? Robert couldn't help but curse. You loved Tom, he said. It was a secret I intended to keep forever, but I ended up telling everything. How can I be calm? You heartless woman. I leaned against Robert, laughing uncontrollably. Robert, I said, I never knew you liked me for so long. Waiting for your divorce every day, was that easy for me? He asked. You have no idea how I spent this past year. I wanted to come find you, but I was afraid Tom would find out, and if he knew someone was interested in you, would I even have a chance? I was almost going crazy from laughing so much. Robert's face looked even worse. I poked his chest. Robert, I said, to make it up to you, how about me finding you a wife? Robert didn't answer, but I could hear his heart beating strongly. After a while, he said, No turning back now. I laughed. Of course I won't, I said. Besides, I still owe you a lot of photos to take. The future is going to be quite busy.